and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, another episode, and without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C., a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Matty C., a.k.a. etc., etc., etc. And without further ado, live from Woods and Shore Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul Vold. Shield, what's going on, Shield?
You know, the only thing that I know what day it is each and every week is that it is Wednesday with no semblance of sports. The only thing we're talking about is COVID-19. I literally wake up each day wondering which day it is, but I knew that today is Wednesday because we've got the show and looking forward to it each and every week. Great to be here as always.
I don't know how I can beat that Kerf Doctor. The Kerf Doctor's here as well, and Shield's got. Yeah, again, I want to reiterate. Shield's got the Whalers jersey. It looks fantastic. Your boy DJ Matty C has got the Moss jersey.
Yes, sir.
Old Reebok jersey. I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, I just love it. You know, I mean, and the thing is, too, that if you want jerseys, you talk to Jimbo Vold. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Talk to Jimbo Vold. He's got you covered. All right? So that's what we love here. But anyway, without further ado, we always start off with Tater Tot Hot Take. But if you guys were tuning in, we're doing something a little different. It's called Tater Tot Hot Take, Your Take. We want to hear from you. You guys got to be chiming in. Go ahead, comment away. Kerf Doctor will try and keep up best he can, but we already got some ready to go. So it's time for some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
Guys, they're really liking our jerseys right now. I mean, this is
Absolutely.
pretty sweet. I mean, this
Love
is great. But anyway, it's Tater Tot Hot Take, Your Take. So here's what we're going to do. I have everyone who wanted to chime in tonight, and you can still chime in. We'll keep making sure that we're getting everyone. But here's our first question, Voldy. Okay, it pertains to basketball, but again, you know, it's I know it's not hockey, but hey,
Right,
you know,
right.
it's what the zoners want. So this is from Dominic Vierling. Should the T-Wolves take LaMelo Ball? You know, Voldy, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know. What do you think?
I look at this initially and I say, hell to the no. The Timberwolves already are in enough deep water already for just purely existing in the National Basketball Association to begin with. The troubles that they have with Kevin Garnett, the franchise itself in Kevin Garnett. We'll talk about that a little bit later as we go into the show here.
Yep.
But taking LaMelo Ball would just add more to the media circus and the dumpster fire that is Minnesota Timberwolves basketball in the 21st century, in existence as well. I think we're getting close to 25 seasons if we aren't having past 25 seasons of Timberwolves basketball. It's been very unfortunate to watch a team that, you know, has had a lot of great players come through and have just not been given the chance that they have. But, man, taking LaMelo Ball, would it excite people? Absolutely.
Sure.
Would it save the franchise? I do not think so. We already saw what one ball player did with, the Los Angeles Lakers. They shipped him after a couple seasons. Maybe it's something like that. It'll take a couple seasons for the others to get settled in. But LaMelo Ball, if he is going to be the top pick, and if the Timberwolves end up with the top pick, that's going to be a tough decision. But I would say no to taking LaMelo Ball.
Same here. And the one reason is because you know who would be coming to town, right?
Yes, sir.
LeVar. And
big baller brand.
I don't want that. Not here. Not in Minnesota. I'm not a huge fan of LeVar Ball. But here's the thing. He is a good player, okay? We can't discount the fact that LaMelo is a very good player. I think he's better than Lonzo. He's definitely better than LiAngelo. So, yeah, if they drafted him, they better have a plan for him because LeVar's going to be so involved with this, and it's just going to be like, I don't know. But anyway, we'll see what happens. So we got to move on to our next one. Looks like we got a good one here. What about the rumors of trading Cook for a first and a third to Seattle, roll with Matty, get defense/wide receiver in the draft? The thing is I don't want to say that Cook is going to be traded because last time I said someone wouldn't be traded was me.
Don't say it.
I'm not going to say it. My
Good.
lips are sealed. But Blake put me in a box. Okay, that's the thing. I mean, he put me in a box here, so I'm not gonna say they're not gonna trade him. But would they for that? Throwing that away.
No,
but
throw it away.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Blake also asked, where'd you get your jersey at?
Oh, where do you? Oh, it's called eBay. Only $20.
Way of the future.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I think honestly we should just wear jerseys all the time now because I
that's
think
what I've been
people
doing.
want to see. Yeah, I know that's what you've been doing, so I gotta hop on too. All right, here's another one. Trade Cooks, then get rid of Cousins too because he can't do it without Cooks. I think he meant Cook. I think Hunt's meant Cook. But,
yeah, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that you dump a lot of cash, but the thing is that you're going to eat up a lot of cap space too. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors with that. Seahawks don't ever draft with their first, so as Hawks fan, I'll take Cook.
Yeah, let us know, Burpee. I like it.
So, we'll see what happens with that. But, yeah, Blake, don't put me in that position, okay? I've already got an absurd statement 2020 as a nomination, so we're just going to leave it at that. All right, next one. Lucas Christopher, a big Zoner fan, asks, which one of the four major sports will be affected the most if the lockout continued? Voldy?
Initially I look at this, the longer it goes, it's kind of a tie in my mind. Major League Baseball and the NBA. Those the two, the NBA was really starting to gain some momentum. They were in the later half of their season. And, of course, this all started with the NBA, shutting out the season. And that's just been extremely difficult to see the NBA, was the first one to kind of put the end to sports. And then everybody kind of followed suit. Yeah. Of course, the NBA is a huge moneymaker with the postseason, the playoffs, the NBA finals. Major League Baseball, they were just starting to get going. There's a lot of fresh faces coming up from the minors into the major leagues, and there's just been a lot that's going to be missed out here, especially now getting into the month of April, into May as well. Guys weren't even really getting fully going. There were some top players that only played like 2 or 3 spring training games before even the start of the season, and they have this concocted idea of how to get the rest of the season in one location. Again, we'll talk about that more coming up here with the show.
Yes.
But I think, honestly, right now, I think in my mind it's more of a tie, but if I had to choose between the two, I think Major League Baseball might be hurt more than the NBA.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, too. And there's a solution from what I hear, but like we said, we'll save that. It's coming up. Just you wait, zoners, okay? But yeah, I agree with you. I think the MLB is definitely affected by it more, especially when it's, they were supposed to start their season only a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. All right, next one. Are Minnesota Vikings official, unofficial sports, or not, MinneZona Sports Live Vikings insider, Mikey Ryan. This is a question for you, Voldy. Okay?
I see.
Voldy. Does Voldy think that the MLB will play in Arizona like they want to?
I think so.
Okay.
I like the idea. I've seen the proposal. Is it insane? Yes. But insane times call for insane measures. Arizona, you could have picked a better location because, you've already got all the spring training facilities. Yep. They've got baseball fields down there like crazy. Of course, when I was with the SMSU baseball team,
yes,
our spring trip would always go down to Arizona. We'd be in one location where there's a minor league ballpark, and then just, not even a stone's throw away is 10 fields right there. It used to be a spring training facility, I think, for the White Sox way back in the day down in Tucson, and then the Padres had a minor league team there as well. So there's no shortage of fields. Tucson's only about an hour's drive from, the Phoenix area. Right. Arizona Diamondbacks are already there. There's plenty of spring training facilities in the Phoenix Mesa area to begin with. I think it's a great idea. There's going to be a lot going on there, a whole lot of moving pieces. You're talking personnel, you're talking media, you're talking players. Of course, they're limiting it to team personnel. You're being escorted to and from the, hotel, literally for isolation from game, back to hotel, back to the field for the game, and then that's it. Is it a little crazy? Yes. But is it certainly doable? I think so. I think baseball is definitely one of those sports where there's not going to be a whole lot of prima donnas. These guys are ready to go. They just want to play. But if it was like the NBA, they're trying to squeeze everything into Vegas, this definitely would not happen. Too many prima donnas in basketball to begin with.
Yeah. And there's no fans, too. And I think that helps. But, again, where is this going to be? Like, are we hitting the peak now, or what's going on? That's kind of the big thing. We don't know. And that's what we'll talk about later on here, because I don't want to get too ahead of myself, so keep tuning in. But, again, it's one of those things where you got to see where everything's at after this month, because they're thinking May, well, you better get the wheels churning so they can get going. So I saw there was another zoner chiming in here as well. Vikings have 12 picks in the upcoming draft. Yes, they do. And
hefty. That's a lot of picks.
Do they think? Do we think the Vikings will trade up to get who they want? Yes, because Spielman does. He either trades up, trades down, stays where he's at. You never know with Rick Spielman. Okay,
you never know.
Never know.
No. Yeah,
and it's going to be different because now you're looking at a virtual draft, and this is something that no one has really ever done. And now the Vikings, I think, can make that jump and say, hey, we're going to trade up here. We're calling whoever, however they're going to do it. But I wouldn't rule it out, because Spielman has done some things before in the draft that have surprised a lot of Vikings fans. And there's been hits, there's been misses. But in my opinion, I think they will. I think it's likely they have 2 first-round picks. Let's see what happens. So,
yeah.
But anyway, moving on here. Peter Fowler, we're going to stick with the Vikings here, Voldy. Harrison Smith being left off the all-decade team. I want your thought first. Go.
The safety position in the all-decade team for the NFL. Yeah, exactly. There could be a lot more. I don't have the all-decade team in front of me. If I would have prepared a little bit better, I could have told you some of the guys that were on there. But if I had to guess, I'm sure a lot of those guys that are on that all-decade team are surefire Hall of Famers, if not at least 1 foot in the door in Canton.
Yeah.
But Harrison Smith, I think, is a big-time miss for the safety position. one of the most steady players the Minnesota Vikings have had on their defense since he came into the league. And, as the saying goes, no news is good news. If Harrison Smith is playing, there's not a whole lot you can say negative about his game.
No.
When he's not playing, there could be some subtle differences with the production of the defense. And, he's just one of those guys. He goes in, does his work, comes up with a big interception. Maybe he gets a big tackle of sorts. But, he's just a guy that goes in there and he just gets his work done. Sometimes he'll make a flashy play, but other times than not, if he's not knocking heads out there, there's not a whole lot you can say bad about Harrison Smith. I guess the NFL just doesn't want to recognize that.
Right. And it's a travesty because I'm looking at the list. There's one guy that is, again, a very good safety. Not saying he's bad, but Eric Weddle, Harrison Smith, I think it has had a better career in my view. Now,
yeah, but Eric Weddle's been, he was in that death trap that was San Diego / Los Angeles last couple of years. Then he goes to the Ravens for a hot spell. They end up playing pretty well when he was there. He's one of the more recognizable players. Now he was most recently with, I think it was the Rams the last couple seasons with Eric Weddle. But he is one of the more recognizable names. If a lot of people, you pointed out who Harrison Smith was outside of the NFC North, I'm not sure a lot of people would know who Harrison Smith is. And the production that he's had, Eric Weddle, he's just one of those guys. He's very recognizable. He's got the long beard. He had the long beard. Goes out there, tape on his fingers, no gloves, and plays a hard safety position. But, there's a lot of guys on this entire list that were definitely missed out from the 2010s. And even a couple guys on there, I'm like, that were, maybe had one or two, maybe three good seasons strung together that somehow got on the list overall.
Right. And I think that's what it was. And that's what I was going to say, too, is that it's all about the national aspect. And Dirty Harry, as I like to call him, he's kind of soft spoken and he doesn't really say much. He goes about his work. But us Vikings fans know that he definitely deserves to be on there. But Adrian Peterson's on there.
He is?
And I think one of our Sports Zone favorites too, hashtag Fear the Dreads, Cordero Patterson, baby.
Super Bowl champ.
Yeah, he is. He very much is. So now it's great. You have two former Vikings on there. You can't complain. But again, that's just me. Harrison Smith should be on there. I'd take out Eric Weddle, but that's just me.
I also like the fact that the NFL posted those pictures of the all-decade team. Cordero Patterson and Adrian Peterson were both wearing Vikings jerseys, and you look at Cordero Patterson in the 2010s alone. He's played for 4 teams, including the Vikings, the Raiders, the Patriots, and the Bears, including this last season. The fact that he's played for 3 teams in the last 3 years and started off with the Vikings, I just found that a little funny.
Oh yeah, shoot. You could probably go on eBay, find a Cordero jersey, or you can find a Cordero Raiders jersey, Patriots, et cetera, et cetera.
Go in the market looking for that Patterson Patriots jersey.
Hey, there you go. All right, so we got another one because I want to get to this one. There is the Buccaneers. We got a few zoners that are Buccaneer fans, believe it or not. But shout out to Anthony Rawlick, a.k.a. A-Train.
A-Train.
And also we got Aaron Madsen chiming in on this too, the Mad Dog. What up, fam? And they're wondering, what if the Bucs had gone this route with their new unis? Check this out. I love it. That's the one thing I do. I really like it, Voldy. I like I was telling Kerf Doctor this today, orange cream soda jerseys, because they look like it. And they look great. I think they need to make, they have to have these. We got to push it towards them. We got to really push it, and I think we should do it, man. I think it'll be fun. So
Absolutely. As the uniform connoisseur that I am, I see these as an absolute win. The only real difference that I would probably, I mean, this is me, this is probably more of a college thing.
Yeah.
Of course, they've got the current Buccaneers logo on the side of the helmet. I would do the one side with the current Buccaneers logo in the creamsicle colors, but then on the other side, go with the old Bucco Bruce logo that they used to have. As I mean, those are just fantastic. I love those. I mean, those are great throwback jerseys. I mean, that was back in the time when they were, not
Yes.
exactly the greatest, but they
No.
brought them back probably about a decade ago. I think they probably worn them for like 1 or 2 games in the last 10 years, and one of them was a shellacking of the Green Bay Packers. That's the only time I remember that, and it was, of course, led by quarterback. I think it was Josh Freeman back then. When that's how long ago it was. Josh Freeman was still in the league, and he
gosh.
was still in Tampa Bay. But, a disappointment that Tampa Bay didn't go that route. Maybe they'll bring it up. The NFL rule mandates that you can only change uniforms once every 5 years. But, again, a missed opportunity. But who knows? Maybe in the very near future they'll debut something like that.
I think it looks great. Hopefully. Yeah, shout out to my brother-in-law, Nick, because, I mean, they got the new jerseys. Voldy, by the way, I should ask you this. Did you buy the Tom Brady Buccaneer jersey?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
We're holding on right now. We're surveying our options right now. We're weighing the pros and cons, but there's a lot of pros, not a whole lot of cons. In fact, people are keep texting me about, it's like, okay, which ones are you buying? Because I know that I'm not going to get the ones that you got, so we don't end up matching. I've had at least 2 or 3 text conversations from people asking me, what color Brady jersey are you going to get, so I don't get the same ones that you do. So really love the coordination from all the Shieldettes out there.
Well, there you go. I mean, best way to put it. We'll see.
Absolutely.
When you get it, I mean,
It's coming on the show.
It's going.
Regardless.
It'll be here.
There's a little bit more to it as well, because if I get the jerseys,
Yeah.
then got to get the hats as well. It goes along
that's
with
a
it.
good point.
It's an ensemble that goes with. Beyond that, there's I mean, obviously you get this and you get this. Obviously, I don't have a Whalers hat, and I'm disappointed in myself. But there's a whole lot that goes into it. This isn't just something we just fly by the seat of our pants. There's a whole lot that goes into it week by week.
It really does. It really does. All right, I want to get one more in here because we got to talk about this zoner, especially because I think his name is Jim Vold, your father.
Yep.
He asked a really nice question on Twitter. He tweeted at MinneZona Sports Live. What do you think about the NHL playing in North Dakota, Voldy? I want you to chime in on this one. So, what do you
I
think?
initially saw some reports of this the start off this week, and I thought this is an absolute win on multiple fronts.
Oh, yeah.
The Ralph Engelstad Arena is a mecca of college athletics, not college hockey, not just the University of North Dakota or North Dakota itself. College athletics. The Ralph Engelstad Arena, the new Ralph Engelstad Arena, is one of the, as a fan myself, been there multiple times in my lifetime, is one of the best venues that you can see, most comfortable. They've got marble floors in the mezzanine area, leather seats all over the place. It's an unfortunate they can't say Fighting Sioux anymore, those Fighting Hawks, but hosting an NHL game, this has been done before. When the Wild first came in the league, they had preseason games there. And Jim Vold can tell you a couple stories because he was up at the University of North Dakota. He was working there with the women's hockey team when the Wild, I think they were playing St. Louis. They were there in 2000, 2001, I think it was, when the Wild first came into the league. They played preseason games there. And he's got a couple stories that he could probably share about, those NHL players in North Dakota. North Dakota pumps out more hockey players than probably any other college in Division I. And that's the fact that they've had a program that's seen nothing but success, not only in the 21st century, but for a very, very long time. Some household names, some more obscure, but they've produced a lot of talent. But being able to put that right there, it's right in between Winnipeg and the Twin Cities. You put those two together, they would sell a lot of seats. A lot of Winnipeg fans come down when the Wild are playing, the
True.
Jets at home. A lot of Wild fans go up to Winnipeg to catch that, but you meet the two in the middle. I would think it would be great. Maybe change it up. Maybe, you throw Colorado in there. You bring a couple other Canadian teams down as well to play at, the University of North Dakota. I think it would be great. And there's been a lot of other smaller venues being determined to possibly host some NHL games if it gets to that point.
Yeah. More on that later. So keep
Exactly.
tuning. Yeah, so anyway, there's a couple that we haven't gotten to, but we got to move on with Voldy's Virtues. We'll get to it during Shield shoutouts, and they're very quick, so we'll make sure we get it to you, zoners, because, the thing is Voldy has emerged from the Temple of Wisdom, and it's time for Voldy's Virtues.
He has emerged from the Temple of Wisdom. Gather round for Voldy's Virtues.
All right, Voldy, enlighten us.
All right. So the last couple of weeks, we've all reached kind of a boiling point.
Yeah.
We are approaching 0 hour in the world of sports. There's a couple of leagues that are in the midst of their regular season. Right now would be very close, if not getting towards the postseason. Bubble teams that thought maybe they had a chance at making a playoff run. Some teams that thought they maybe be secured at the top seed. We don't know. League's been shut down, multiple leagues for weeks, maybe going on close to a month now. And we have reached a point in professional sports, mostly the NBA and the NHL. Is it worth it at this point? A lot of reports coming through how they want to get players back involved, how to get competition back up to the satisfactory level of what it once was. But here's the thing. No matter what crazy schemes that you come up with over the next couple of weeks, getting into the later stages of April and into May, it's not going to be the same.
Right.
We're at a point in our lives right now and in the world where, of course, we need sports. We all need sports. Even if we're not sports people, we need sports to talk about, to watch, to see, to experience, to be annoyed by those crazy guys that are at the water cooler talking about last night's game. We need that. Because at this point, there's only so much more you can talk about related to the coronavirus pandemic, the number of people falling ill, the ones that unfortunately lose their lives to this virus. But sports is one of those things that always brings us together no matter what. ESPN has been doing a wonderful job playing back some of the classic games of the last century of, moments that brought everyone together. Monday Night Football game that was right after Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. That was, I remember watching it live. I remember I caught a little bit of it this past Monday, and I'm not going to lie, same emotions from when I first saw it and when I saw it on Monday as well. There's a lot that goes into sports. Drew Brees was quoted as saying, we need sports to heal. I believe that was even just today. But talking about getting back more here on track about the NBA and the NHL. Commissioner Adam Silver for the NBA has done everything that he can to try and get the league to make a decision whether they need to. There's a lot that goes into it. You got money, you got players, you've got everything going on related to game day staff to everything that goes into merchandise and revenue for the players and also for everybody with the NBA. But getting everything lined up in time for possibly remaining by May 1st, as they want to shoot for, it's not looking very likely. Because at this point, I believe the NBA season would be in the playoffs, if not very close to, or, by May 1st. Because usually they go all the way into June, the early portion of June with the NBA finals, and you subtract, conference finals, semifinals, quarterfinals. That's probably at least a week and a half for each series. So you're talking about 2.5, 3 months alone of just postseason basketball. Same thing with the NHL as well. Deputy Commissioner as well for the NHL talking about recognizing the fact that the regular season may just be kaput, maybe working a couple of games before going into the playoffs. But at this point, is it really worth it? There's always going to be that stigma. You guys didn't play a full season. People are going to be talking about the fact that, they were just crowned a champion even after playing, 50-some games instead of the full 82 games,
right,
plus another 4 or 5 playoff series into what could be, what is already a very dark time in the world itself.
Yeah.
But looking at it overall, there are a lot of things that go into it. Finishing the regular season for both the NBA and the NHL is not likely, but are there other ways that you can produce this product, that being the NBA and the NHL, without taking into the fact that, 30-plus teams for each, there's still so much that is yet to be determined. And the fact that the fact that the coronavirus has been affecting literally half of the country for over a month, and some places, even in the middle portion of the country, including us here in Minnesota, hasn't even seen the full peak of the effect of the coronavirus. And we've been talking about it for well over a month now, compared to New York, which the numbers unfortunately continue to grow, means that once it gets towards, the Rocky Mountains into the West Coast, we could still be talking about this into June and into July. And by that point, if the season, I would be very surprised. I said this last week as well.
Yeah.
If we aren't by the middle of April, by like the third week, and there hasn't been a decision to either come up with something or to cancel altogether, there's no hope for professional sports. That's what I've got to say today.
Right. And, like we were looking on the social medias, President Trump held a conference call with every professional sports league, and it sounds like there's too much uncertainty, like you were saying, and we have to look at this and say, I think Trump, what he said was saying, look, NFL, we plan to have the NFL with all fans this upcoming fall. Okay, well, what about the other sports? They don't know. They really have no clue. And again, none of us do. We don't know where it's going to be. And like you said, Voldy, if they don't have anything going on, they're just going to have to call it a season. But like you said, they need sports. And for once, I agree with Drew Brees. Obviously, there's that 2009 game, NFC Championship.
That's impossible!
Yeah, and that's impossible, like Coach Hines likes to say. Check out Coach Hines on Mad TV. Fantastic. But anyway, yeah, I agree with Drew Brees. And, people need it. And the UFC, with Dana White, that he took precautions and said, look, we're going to have this, they're going to have UFC, I don't know what number, but on a private island. He's like, I got an island. We'll do it. We'll test everything. Great. You have that to look forward to. Am I a big UFC guy? Not really. But if it's on, maybe I'll check it out. You never know.
Absolutely.
It'll be on ESPN. So, again, Voldy, this was a great Voldy's Virtues here, and I 100% agree with you, and I'm sure the zoners agree with you as well on it. But, yeah, we're going to have to see because hopefully, we're reaching the peak here, and now, hopefully the cases go down, deaths, obviously go down too because, this is something none of us have experienced, and, we want to be safe. We want to keep everyone safe. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, Voldy, it's time for something called Absurd or Approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
All right, we start with a bit of a hot button ticket in it works out just like that. Didn't even try to do that on purpose. The big ticket himself, that being Kevin Garnett, recently chosen to the National Basketball Hall of Fame. Congratulations to the big ticket himself, Kevin Garnett. Now, a lot of people have been clamoring the last couple of years. When are the Timberwolves going to pull the trigger to retire old number 21, raised to the rafters of the Target Center? Well, Kevin Garnett shot that down pretty quickly in an interview most recently with The Athletic. He's not entertaining the idea of the Timberwolves retiring his number because of one person and one person only, that being Glenn Taylor. The owner of the Timberwolves and their unfortunate split in 2016 kind of did lead to that falling out as everything was brought back together in 2015 with Kevin Garnett coming back. Garnett was quoted as saying, "Glenn knows where I'm at. I'm not entertaining it. First of all, it's not genuine. Two, he's getting pressure from a lot of fans, I guess the community there." He was also quoted as saying, "Glenn and I had an understanding before, God rest his soul, former team president and coach Flip Saunders died, and when Flip died, that understanding went away." Later on in the interview that Kevin Garnett had, using some choice language that only befitting of Kevin Garnett, talking about how he doesn't do business with snakes. And he thinks that Glenn Taylor is a snake. He doesn't do business with snake people like Glenn Taylor, and he always has the special place of the city of Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota in his heart in Kevin Garnett. Now, observe or approve, DJ Matty C, Kevin Garnett's comments about Glenn Taylor.
Stamp of approval. And he didn't just call him a snake. He called him a mother effer snake.
And he did.
I don't know the full situation with those two, okay? But the one thing that the Wolves franchise had going for them was one person, and pretty much one person only. KG, Kevin Garnett.
Yep.
And Glenn Taylor, I don't know him that well, and, I don't think that I really think that there was something that really aggravated KG, and KG is a no-nonsense guy, and when you cross him, he'll probably never forgive you.
Oh, no.
Now, it's an absolute travesty that the Boston Celtics have it are retiring his number there before the Wolves. And I understand. It's, it's just a number, blah, blah, blah. But no, it means something to the state of Minnesota because Kevin Garnett is what kept the Wolves relevant. And for Glenn Taylor to do something like that to Kevin Garnett, whatever he did, he's calling him a snake and whatnot. And it's two guys ruining it for millions of fans. I agree, Lucas. I really do. But I got to be on KG's side because Glenn Taylor, with that whole Jimmy Butler situation, he really goofed that up. He's like, "Oh yeah, I talked with Jimmy. He's gonna play." Blah blah blah. You know what? This was your mess, okay? And I know Jimmy. That's a different story. But for him to whatever he did to KG, and I don't know what the details are or anything like that. For him to do that is egregious. And KG is one of those guys here in Minnesota that we really deeply care about, but he says, "I don't do business with M&F or snakes." It's sad. It really is sad because there are so many fans that want to see this happen. But Glenn Taylor, and obviously it's like, well, why doesn't KG just let bygones be bygones? Because I don't know. We don't know the situation, okay? And maybe that's private, but they need to make up. They do. They have to, because I don't know unless Glenn sells the team. I don't know. That's another thing too. But a lot of Wolves fans are pissed about this. Let them have what they want, and the zoners want to see it too. I mean, this isn't just something that we want, Voldy. This is something that everyone wants in Minnesota. The zoners. Retire his number. Glenn Taylor, this is a public service announcement to you. Retire Kevin Garnett's number. Voldy, absurd or approved.
I think KG was pretty on point. It's
Yeah.
sad for the fact that it took Flip Saunders in the later stages of his life to bring both parties to the table and say, look, we can make this happen. You two just need to coexist. And the fact that it took, a former coach, now that he came back with the Timberwolves, was team president and coach at the time, to bring both parties to the table and have them agree long enough for the 2-year deal to come back and let Kevin Garnett finish his career as a Timberwolf, that was great to see. I'm not a basketball fan anywhere, shape, or form, but when I heard that Kevin Garnett was coming back to the Timberwolves, I was as giddy as a 5-year-old on Christmas morning because let's face it, when you talk sports in Minnesota and you talk, anything professional, what are the big names that come out? Big names, especially for our generation as well. Kevin Garnett, Randy Moss. There've been those two big names. Let's talk about the fact they had that magazine cover. I think it was Slam or something like that a long time ago, and everybody was talking about recreating the cover with Karl Anthony Towns, and I think at the time maybe Cordero Patterson or something like that when he was still with the still with the Vikings, I should say. But this is not just about, I think Glenn Taylor needs to take his ego out of it. I don't know Glenn Taylor. I don't know Kevin Garnett. I don't know who was in the fault, who was in the wrong. But there's been some backlash on social media talking about how it's Kevin Garnett's fault that his number is not retired and not Glenn Taylor's fault. Look, everybody's at fault here. Nobody's coming out on the positive side of this whatsoever. But I think at the end of the day, the fact that the Celtics are getting the opportunity to retire Kevin Garnett's number before the Timberwolves when he played, 80 plus % of his career in Timberwolves colors, following the Celtics, and then also with that little stint he had with the Brooklyn Nets. It's a disservice not only to Minnesota, the fans of the Timberwolves, but also the NBA as well. Yeah. Because a lot of people identify Kevin Garnett. He had that nice little run with the Celtics where they got to 2 finals and won championship in 2008. But when you talk Kevin Garnett, what's the first thing that pops in your mind? Timberwolves. It's a part of basketball, and it's unfortunate. This probably won't happen for some time.
Right. And it's travesty. I'm sorry. Yeah. It really is a travesty. And again, other teams, they're laughing at us. I mean, they really are. The Celtics, they're laughing at us. And it's sad. It really is sad. He is, I wish he would. There was talk that he wanted to be a part owner. And again, I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think Taylor's
No, I don't think that happened after Flip died. Yeah, that was one of the.
After Flip died, yeah. So, but we'll see what happens. It's getting to a point now where it's like, okay, well, they obviously feel a different way about this whole thing. So, but anyway, next one, Voldy.
Yeah, we got another basketball-related story. Before we get to that, to answer Tyler's question about whether a player is inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame with a specific team, I don't think so.
No.
But if it is, he asked another question: is KG in as a Timberwolf? Absolutely, no question about it whatsoever.
I would say so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But talking about basketball once again, my favorite sport in the whole world, the NBA and ESPN are in talks. There's been a little bit more concrete evidence as of, I think, about a couple hours ago, organizing a televised game of horse involving multiple high-profile players, NBA alumni, and even a couple WNBA players. Players would be shooting in isolation and match shots against their opponents, potentially from their home gyms as well. Now, absurd or approved to you, DJ Matty C, the possibility of, as the lower third does say, getting back on the horse.
It's got my stamp of approval, and it's giving people that, like myself, Voldy, the Kerf Doctor, some sports. Playing horse. All of us have played horse, I'd assume. And it's with star players. That's even more great. You got to think about it that way too, because I don't know if Kevin Durant would have played, but I think Chris Paul was in there.
Trae Young.
Trae Young. I mean, there's all these NBA. I think Giannis. Yeah, Giannis is in there. It's giving people an outlet to look at something live, and that's what they need. And again, it's like, well, it's just horse and everything like that. It's not an actual game. It's like, well, what other option is there? Right? And
Exactly.
You got to entertain the people. And they're going to take precautions. I mean, this isn't something that they're just going to waltz in and be like, "All right, let's play horse." No, they're probably going to be tested, make sure everyone's safe, social distancing, all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's got my stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
I think this is just what the NBA needs. If they are going to be able to finish off the regular season and into the playoffs as well, you need something to go with. But of course, they are, not 100% confirming, but they are throwing out names like Chris Paul, Trae Young, Zach LaVine as well, former Timberwolves legend, that being Zach LaVine. And even, I like the fact that they're not just keeping it to current players, but also the likes of NBA alumni and WNBA players as well, getting into the mix as well. That would be that'd be fun to see. See some of the top names for the WNBA, mix it up with some of the top players from the NBA as well. I mean, there's a lot of great players overall. Give respect where respect is due, and it's got my stamp of approval. I just like to see if and when they can come up with something like this, and obviously they're going to keep it to whoever's playing, and maybe a camera crew, and also maybe like an analyst or something like that to say what's going to be going on. Or it could be just like one analyst, both players are mic'd up and just talking about what's your strategy going with this shot. You're down to HOR right now, pressure's kind of going on for you. What are you thinking here? How are you going to try and play it safe? You're going to try and risk it all here with this next shot. A lot of great strategy going into the game, of course, as well. It'd be very interesting to see what some of these players would come up with if they decide to pull the trigger on this.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. And apparently, according to Jimbo, you were pretty good at horse.
Yep, that's, back in the day. Yeah, high school during my lunch break. So I got the nickname The Shield, too. That's another long story that we'd have to get into for another
Virtues.
day.
Future Voldy's Virtues segment,
Absolutely.
All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we got to switch things up here now, going to the NFL ranks. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the Los Angeles Rams unveiling their new logo. Well, unfortunately, it hasn't been totally well received by the Rams faithful in Los Angeles, and including the likes of NFL Hall of Fame running back Eric Dickerson, who has been the voice for the fans for the Los Angeles Rams, voicing their displeasure for the new logos, the new colors as well, that the Los Angeles Rams have decided to go with heading into this season. And so much so that it's gotten all the way up to the top to Kevin DeMoff, who is the Rams chief operating officer, who was quoted as saying that, most recently was going to read mean tweets about the new logo in a recent telethon that was hosted by the Rams and a local ABC affiliate in Los Angeles. He would read mean tweets and post a video to his social media if the telethon raised raised $2 million for coronavirus relief efforts. Well, sometimes you got to eat crow, and at this point, the fundraiser itself passed $2.2 million, and of course, a lot of the tweets that were read were posted on social media and read in a video posted by Kevin DeMoff as well. First off, this is kind of a two-part question.
Yeah.
For Absurd or Approved. A, do you like the new Rams logo and colors? And B, is it deserved that a lot of fans of the Los Angeles Rams kind of going after, of course, Kevin DeMoff and also the Rams for the decision that they made?
Well, the logo, I could go without. The colors look great. I really like the colors. But I'm sorry, I was laughing at these mean tweets. These are funny. The zoners are going to love this. This one guy says, this is actually embarrassing. Looks like some freshman college students in graphic design 101 made it in about 6 minutes.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty creative. There's a lot of good ones out there.
And I'll give one more, then I'll let you know. There's a Rams logo debate. What's it between trash and hot garbage?
I like the other one that they had on there. I don't know if we can read it or not, but it's pretty funny talking about things related to the quote unquote toilet paper shortage in the Rams logo.
Yeah.
That one was pretty funny.
That one is good too. If you're low on toilet paper, don't worry. You can get it now on NFL Shop. Ba-doom.
Oh, that's perfect.
But anyway, getting back to your question here, it's a little absurd. I mean, they made the logo. They put effort into it. If it was lack thereof, I mean, I'm going to leave it to the Rams fans. But again, I like the color scheme, the logo. It's okay. The Ram looks better than the LA thing because it, like we said last week, Foldy, it looks like the LA Chargers instead. That's how we looked at it. So yeah, I think it's absurd. What do you think, Voldy?
Yeah, I mean, I look at the new Rams logo, the one of the ram head. There's a lot of that goes into it because, of course, I'm the guy that's thinking about 2, 3, 4 steps ahead instead of just looking at what's in front of me right now. I see the Rams logo and I see it for what it is. They've got a new stadium that they're going to be going into. You need some sort of momentum going into that besides having the same team, same uniforms, same logo that's still associated with the St. Louis Rams. And when you think the Rams, of course, you think about when they were in Los Angeles, then moved to St. Louis. Now they're back at square one in Los Angeles once again. But I see the Rams logo with the ram head. I think it's a new twist on an old favorite. It's a very interesting looking logo. The one where it's the LA and the ram head going over the A. The more I look at it, I kind of like it. I mean, it's different. Initially when the first leaked photos came out or whatever, yes, I would have said, wait, is that an LA Rams or an LA Chargers? Because the way the logo was cut out with the swoop of the horn was kind of cut into it like a lightning bolt. But I see it now, a couple weeks removed from looking at it initially. I like it. Color scheme, perfect. That's perfect LA Rams right there. Yeah. You don't want to change anything with it. You've got the Rams blue with the golden yellow, the soul as they call it, quoted as for the yellow. I like it. As far as the mean tweets are hilarious. No matter which way you take them, whether they're insulting, more times than not, that's just creative. I couldn't come up with a mean tweet like that to save my life and actually have it be funny enough to have somebody from the Rams or any professional organization to read it, over social media or what have you.
Yeah. Well, I got an idea. We make a burner account as Coach Hines. And we just quote. I mean, zoners, is that something you want? Because I think we can make it happen. Because we got these new sound bites.
Listen up, or I'm cutting your ears off.
It's off the shears. You gotta. I'm going to stab it and jug it. I'll stab and jug. Okay? Check out Coach Hines, people. See? We're all having fun here. Okay? We're all having fun here on the zone. Check out Coach Hines. All right? Anyway, so it's got your stamp of approval then, Voldy?
Absolutely.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, next one.
All right, we've got one here. There is a new team that's going to be on the rise here in the very near future. The NHL Seattle expansion team, team number 32, led by general manager, the man whose jersey I'm currently wearing, Ron Francis, leading the way here for the Seattle franchise, was set to announce the logo and also the nickname for the Seattle franchise this past week. Well, with everything going on, they were originally supposed to do it in February and in March, but again, that got pushed back. Washington was one of the heavily hit areas with the coronavirus and COVID-19, but now we've reached a point here. Of course, they're not going to be getting to play. The Seattle franchise isn't even scheduled to be part of the NHL till 2020-21. So not even this coming NHL season, but the season after. So my question to you is, looking at, the potential of a new NHL team number 32, nice round number, what should be the nickname for the Seattle franchise of the NHL?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. Gosh. Voldy, you put me in a tough spot here.
I know.
Seattle. I don't want to say anything fish because I feel like a lot of fish goes through.
Right.
Because every time you watch a game, NFL game in Seattle or something like that, I mean, they're always tossing fish and stuff like that.
Right.
There's the Seattle Seahawks, the Sounders, the Dragons for the XFL.
Yep.
There were the Seattle Supersonics. I would guess probably something with an S, apparently.
Probably.
It seems like it. Right off the top of my head, I'd probably say the Seattle... I don't know. I lost it.
Exactly. Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
a tough one.
It's tough. I mean, what do you think? I'll throw it back to you. How about that?
This is one that originally that they were going to announce, and they actually had kind of like a fan vote of sorts to nail down, because a nickname and also a logo for the team. Of course, the most recent team being the expansion was the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Now they're just the Vegas Knights. They've dropped Las and they've dropped Golden just seemingly overnight. Their first season, they made it all the way to Stanley Cup Finals. That was awesome to see. But honestly, my first indication, I do not know Seattle all that well. I'm really hoping my guys that are from Washington, Matt Burpee, who commented earlier about the Seahawks, and Greg Biaggi, a couple guys I played baseball with over in Madison, South Dakota. Hopefully they'd be able to chime in on this and see if they could maybe spark a couple of some nicknames that would be perfect. Initially, mine would probably be something related to the indigenous people, the natives there as well. Not trying to be, of course, try to stay away from the political correctiveness. But I would say the Seattle Totems.
Okay.
Yeah, just throwing it out there. I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
Here's my question. Would they bring back the Whalers?
Would they bring back the Whalers? That's a very good question. I would say no, because Carolina is the team that moved from Hartford. They were the Whalers originally. They still wear the Whalers jerseys a few times a year, which was awesome to see this past couple of seasons, to see the Carolina Hurricanes bring back that history. But if they'd have to be an expansion team a la like when the Cleveland Browns moved to Baltimore, and then the Cleveland Browns were an expansion team, even though they're the same team to begin with.
How about this? The Seattle Starbucks from Blake Ockard here.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. They got the money.
It's got my stamp of approval. I do like that. Nice one, Blake.
Love it.
But yeah, anyway, last one, Voldy.
All right, we've got one. We've been alluding to it all show, talking about how sports has taken a big hit as of late. We're talking about storming the desert. Arizona, Major League Baseball and the Players Union is slowly but surely trying to put things together to start in the month of May. But where? How? How many? Where are we going? Arizona. They're talking about putting every single MLB franchise in the state of Arizona. They've got the fields, they've got the access, they've got the perfect weather, although it's going to be, a little bit hot to say the least, once the middle of summer comes rolling around, unless you're in Chase Field playing the Diamondbacks. But there are options, the possibility of baseball's return, even getting, the go-ahead. They're getting some, positive feedback from federal health officials as well.
Sure.
They're talking about playing all 30 teams in stadiums with no fans in the Phoenix area. They do have 10 spring training facilities and possibly other nearby fields, probably some colleges, maybe even a couple, big high school fields as well, which would be very interesting to see how that all plays out. But there's also the possibility of reducing the schedule down to, I think I did see most recently a number of about 100 games season, but still playing 100 games, very little off days, a good handful of doubleheaders, tried and true college, high school baseball type scheduling right here, where you're playing games back to back to back. You're playing 3-4 games in, a day and a half, if not 2 days, relying on, tired arms and tired legs. But my question to you is, do you think this is possible, absurd or approved, Major League Baseball playing it all in Arizona?
Stamp of approval. I think it's going to happen. And I think they want it to happen. They want to have this going on because the more you delay it, and, rightfully so, obviously, you're losing money, and that's one thing. But also you want to make sure the players are safe. Just take, and here's something from Jimbo here. They're saying that the warm weather kills the virus, or at least is not as good for the virus. So, again, there's another factor into this too. So you got to look at this and say, okay, so they play in Arizona. They're in the hot desert, as you like to say, the big toaster, and they're in Arizona. I mean, it's possible. The thing is, you have to take precaution while doing this and make sure that this doesn't ramp up. And they're not having any fans in there. They're not doing any of that. Now, if they're testing players every day, things like that, good. But if someone is infected, then you have to, quarantine them. And, it's going to be a good 2 weeks. It's almost like getting an injury, And hopefully things go better here. And I think it's definitely possible. So I don't know. I can't see MLB being canceled. NHL, NBA,
no.
Possibly.
Yeah, I can see both those leagues getting canceled, but for Major League Baseball, there's a lot that they still have yet to work with because of the fact they only got a few weeks of spring training before they could even get any sustained momentum, even looking towards the regular season. I'm looking here at some other things that the Players Union and Major League Baseball were kind of thinking about, talking about, and implementing.
Right.
They're talking about possibly implementing an electronic strike zone to allow the plate umpire to maintain sufficient distance from the catcher and batter to help, social distancing and everything. No mound visits from the catcher or pitching coach. 7-inning double headers, which would allow for the possibility of getting that full 162 games. Regular use of on-field microphones by players as an added bonus for TV viewers, and players sitting in the empty stands 6 feet apart, the recommended social distancing space, instead of in the dugout. Now, stuff like that seems a little bit far-fetched, but the 7-inning doubleheaders, the no mound visits would, it does kind of hamper you a little bit when it comes to pitching and also talking strategy. But at the same time, these guys are professionals. You would think in certain situations they'd be able to know, what to do with, certain batters, certain pitch, things of that sort. But I do like the fact that they are throwing out the possibility, regular use of on-field microphones,
Yes.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, TV, you could just probably shout halfway across the field and talk to the guy that's in left field because there's nobody else going to be around. I mean, that's certainly a little bit interesting. I think I'm on board with this.
Good.
I kind of want to see this happen.
Approval.
The stamp of approval, definitely. Just from the standpoint of looking at it, not only would we have baseball back, but also the opportunity that would provide for a lot of people related to media, related to, how ESPN and, Major League Baseball Network, all these other sports affiliates that broadcast these teams all summer long, how would they be able to handle all this? Certainly it would be very interesting to see how they would be able to negotiate and even make this possible at all.
Right. And there's a couple zoners chiming in. Tyler Knutson was saying, since the Twins signed Donaldson, would that count as a year on the contract? Would he get paid? I didn't look much into that, but I would think so, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, what do you think, Voldy? Would he get paid that full?
We don't know. We don't know who's getting paid. We don't know if this is going to count a year against people's contracts, salary arbitration, service time for, major league players, minor league players as well. There's so much unknown going on right now. I would think if they get a partial season, it would count as a year on a contract.
Sure.
But if they, if there's like a certain number of games they want to reach to make it a full service year for any player. If they don't reach that, I don't think it would count against them. But then if it doesn't count as a year on their contract, do they still get paid? Do they just go through all this just to, spend a year doing something they love and not getting paid for it? There's so much going on right now. I don't know what to make heads or tails. I'm just glad I'm not one of these commissioners right now that has to deal with everything going on, trying to come up with answers.
Yeah. And I think it's good that they're trying to make it happen. And I think they can. I think they can pull it off. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, though. So, I mean, we'll see where it goes. But it's giving people hope for a season here. And I believe there's going to be a season. How long? Who knows? Could be extended. Could be, whatever. But, yeah, it's got my stamp of approval, your stamp of approval. So, this is great. ARA, Zoners, thanks for chiming in. We got a lot of people chiming in here, but it's time for something that the Shield loves and adores. It's time for Shield shoutouts, I believe.
Shield shoutouts.
As I just saw a comment here, Voldy, before we get into it. There was a quote that Mr. Knutson would make, a fellow Zoner. He'd be asking, "Hey, you balling tonight? Dude, guys, let's go ball tonight over at the RA."
Absolutely.
I wish. I would.
I wish too, yeah.
So, but all right, Voldy, who are you shouting out tonight?
All right, well, it's been a bit of a tough week for Shield shoutouts. There has been some stuff going on, but not a whole lot going on in the sports world. Of course, this past Saturday and Sunday was a 2-night event, WrestleMania. Of course, no fans allowed. They did it from the WWE Performance Center down in Orlando. And one major surprise, we did talk about the fact that Rob Gronkowski did sign with the WWE. He was actually partially hosting WrestleMania. But then on Sunday, he decided to get in a little bit of the action. Not only did he walk out, a little bit estranged from his buddy Mojo Rawley, a former NFL player himself, but he also pinned him to become the new WWE 24/7 champion on day 2 on Sunday. You can go and now say Super Bowl champion and a WWE champion. Don't think that's on a lot of people's resumes. Special Shield shout out to Rob Gronkowski, now a champ once again.
Now, with that title, he can be pinned at any time.
Anytime, anywhere, yes.
Gronk's got to watch out. I mean, who knows? Like, Joe Bag of Donuts could come and try and pin him,
Exactly.
Hopefully Gronk can hold on to it.
There's been a lot of interest, just professional wrestling as well. They've had a lot of interesting storylines and situations where people have won and lost the title as well. But that's a story for a whole nother show altogether. Moving on here, a little bit of, inside baseball going on with Los Angeles Dodgers third baseman Justin Turner. Sure, he's not producing on the field, but he's producing for the world. This past week, it was Justin Turner's wife's podcast that he was on. The show is called Holding Court, and they were talking about everybody's favorite sensation, that being Tiger King, the Netflix original series that has just swept everyone's imaginations and mine too. Here at the Fold Compound,
Perf Doctor.
We are just completely dumbfounded by how awesome and crazy the show is. But just so happened that 2 listeners were tuning in that had a little something to do with the show, that being Jeff Lowe himself,
what a clown.
One of the characters, we'll say, from the show, Tiger King, and his wife were listening and actually sent a video to, Justin Turner and his wife saying that there is going to be a special episode coming out this week that they said directly this week. I believe the report came out. It was either Saturday or Sunday. But it's supposed to be coming out this week. One more episode of the Tiger King coming out this week. So a huge Shield shout out to not only Justin Turner and his wife, Courtney, but to Holding Court as well. We get one more little taste of the world of Tiger King itself.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Tiger King, check it out. Let me know what you think.
You are doing yourself an injustice if you haven't seen Tiger King. I was a little skeptical at first, but me and Sarah, we watched it all in one weekend, and a little bit early this week as well. I think we had like one episode left, and we are just floored by how you go from one extreme to the other, then you get another extreme up here, down there. It's all over the place.
It just keeps going.
It's a dumpster fire wrapped in a crap tornado, set on fire before being put out by the laughter and the tears of happy crying tears that is the world. The internet is fantastic. The fact that this all happened together is just amazing within itself.
Unbelievable.
But moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on. Check out Tiger King on Netflix.
Yes.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, unveiled their new uniforms on Tuesday. New twist on an old classic, honoring the teams that, were the best of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 97 to 2003, which also did include Super Bowl 36, I believe it was, or 37 that they won the with John Gruden at the helm. With the standard white and red, and also the third jersey, which they have called pewter. I thought it was kind of like a bronzish gray color, but officially they've called it a pewter, which is kind of like a grayish color as well. It's got my stamp of approval. Yes, we've already talked about it. The process of getting the Tom Brady jerseys as well. It's on the way. Don't worry. There will be an official announcement coming up here sometime, hopefully before week 1 of the season.
I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got to finish off here. Of course, there's a lot of things going on related to COVID-19. A lot of people doing social distancing, self-isolation, for those that unfortunately cannot work, that are they're non-essential workers. It's a very unfortunate time. But for myself, I'm finding new ways to be able to pass the time with a little bit of snackage.
Yeah.
Right across from the Woods and Shores studios here in Aiken, a little holiday gas station, Minnesota business, loud and proud, and discovered a few snacks. Again, it's been a tough time here for Shield shout-outs, and, got to give a shout-out to Giants. They usually make sunflower seeds, big fan of their product. Discovered now they got some cashews to work with, and been big fan of the original salted. They got dill pickle flavor, and also bacon ranch flavored cashews. Delicious. Got to give them a try. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Got to give them a try.
I'll mark that down.
Definitely need to mark that down.
Yeah.
What we got for Shield shout-outs this week?
All right. That sounds great, Shield. There's a couple that I want to get to for Tater Tot Hot Take.
Please.
Yeah. Just real quick. If you had to choose, this is from Nathaniel Strufford, a.k.a. Stuffage. Shout out Stuffage. If you had to choose a broadcasting booth for a football game, who would it be? The twist is you have to choose a kid's show you have watched while growing up. Voldy, who do you got?
See, I was trying to think about this, and I was trying to think along the lines. Now, are we talking like a broadcast booth of like professionals mixed with like kids that were on a TV show back in the day, or I wouldn't even know where to begin. I can't even remember what I had for breakfast, let alone what I watched as a kid. Beyond like basic cartoon shows.
I thought about this too. I've seen a lot of cartoons, but I think the one that off the top of my head, I would there you go. Tyler's already got SpongeBob and Patrick. Yes. I would probably say that would be a really good one. The Kerf Doctor would like that one. Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck would be a good combo. I think that would be pretty. That'd be pretty interesting. Drake and Josh, I like that, Hunts. Yeah, Drake and Josh. Well, that'd be pretty good. Yeah, that's actually not bad. But yeah, I'd probably go Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck. I mean, you can't go wrong with those guys. They're in Space Jam. They're fantastic. So I'd probably go with them.
Now that I think about it a little bit more, I'd probably go with a 3-man booth.
Okay.
Ed, and Eddie.
Yes.
Absolutely. Best of all worlds.
Now that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, one more I got here for you, Voldy. Zach Huntley, he's got time to talk about the 1-year anniversary of Tiger's historic comeback victory. Yes, Tiger was fantastic. it's too bad about the Masters. Obviously it would have been Masters week this week, I love watching the Masters because I enjoy golf as well. I think Tiger could win it here in November? I heard it's not in his advantage, but we'll see. But yeah, that was one heck of a victory. I don't know. It was a pretty awesome experience, I'd say. But Voldy, what are your memory from last year?
With it being the Masters and golf, I'm going to defer to a quote that a former colleague of ours, Jeremiah Keene, would say: "Golf, it's a sport."
All right. Well,
That's all I got.
Shout out Jeremiah Keene, man.
Shout out to Jeremiah, yeah.
Oh my goodness. But anyway, yeah, that's I think we got to everyone for Tater Tot hot take, your take. We're going to try to do it a little more because I think that was really fun. We had so many that we couldn't get to all of them. That's the thing, it was just so much fun. But anyway, Zoners, we thank you for tuning in. Yes, we went a little overtime, but you know what? It was that much fun. We had a lot of people chiming in. We had all the shout-outs. We have everyone tuning in during this tough time. And you know what? We're going to keep bringing it to you, okay? Because that's what we do here at MinneZona Sports Live. We give it to you, the Zoners, okay? So, but anyway, great job today, Voldy, and great job, Kerf Doctor, as well, the man behind the scenes. And Zoners, thank you so much. And we're going to be back next week, I would hope, okay? Because, we got so much more to talk about. We're going to have so much more fun. So, anyway, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.